everybody. It's so cool to see so many faces. I'm going to open my chat. I don't know if you guys already have your chat open, but I'd love to hear where everybody's from.
Do you mean where we're from originally or where we're working?
Either, right? Let's get deep. I like this.
I was born in Washington, but I'm working on the coast. I live in Rockaway Beach, so I'm doing kind of the Tillamook, Manzanita, all that area.
Great. I love that. Yeah, what area do we all serve? I think that's an even better question, right? When we're referring to each other,
Yeah.
where are you serving people?
Yeah, I've been also lucky to have some transactions in Seaside and Cannon, and that's fun.
Awesome. Gosh, Leslie, we
coast.
can't stop you from finding a way to get in.
We are going to welcome everybody to the call today. Today is Momentum Mastermind, just to set the stage for everyone. If you are in this room, it is open to every single agent in our network. However, the conversations today are going to be focused around the production level of 0 to 2.5 million. So just know that that's the level we're going to be talking today. Now, these are foundational elements that we cover, so they're great for everybody's business. And today we are talking database, or as we're going to call it today, Kimberly, data bank, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, how these masterminds work is the first couple of minutes, I introduce and interview a mega agent who is a master of this topic. We then go through some tactical conversations to apply to your business, and then we end with open forum conversation. So Kimberly, let's rock and roll.
Do it.
First of all, just to let them know a little bit about you, Kimberly, how many years have you been in real estate?
I'm going to really date myself here. It's been about 23 years. So I started at the age of about 14.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say 5, but 14 sounds good too. You were a solo agent last year, which is awesome, and you closed 37 units for over $15 million. So, and most importantly, those years in real estate have been largely fed by a lead generation source that has been your sphere, right?
Yes.
So we're going to start with the mindset behind sphere. We often hear that when we launch and start growing a business, that the very first thing that they should do is build their database, right? As someone who's done a tremendous amount of business in this capacity, why do you think it's so important that people start with that very first function?
You know, hopefully you guys all listened to Gary at Family Reunion, but one of those that really hit home was when he was talking about how a lot of restaurants were going out of business. And the biggest reason was because customers came to them, but he didn't know his customers. He didn't have that database. He couldn't communicate with them. He couldn't tell them that, hey, I'm going to have takeout dinners, or I'm going to prepare meals that you can come pick up. And that to me it is something that has really resonated this last week about how fortunate we are for building. Whoa, that was weird. Our database and being able to communicate with them.
I love that. That was a huge takeaway. And honestly, I found myself asking the same question as Gary, right? Like my husband and I go to the same restaurant like at least a couple times a month. We order the same thing, right? Like, why didn't they ever reach out to us during the pandemic? If they had made it easy for me to get my weekly meal, like I would have paid. I would have shown up. I would have continued to support them in business. But they merely didn't know how to contact me. And I, as the consumer, didn't go out of my way to have to solve a challenge in their business.
Right. And so that's the great thing is we don't have that challenge because we have that data bank. You know, we've got people's information and we're constantly growing it.
I think that was a great point, Kimberly. So if you guys, the takeaway is if you're thinking, oh, wow, maybe I don't have my data bank, that's your first aha of today is, do you have a way to communicate and solve a problem for consumers? Because it's not their job, it's our job. They're the consumer, right? So database equals data bank. So why does the size of your database matter?
It's how your business is going to grow from your data bank. The larger your business, the larger your data bank, the more opportunities for conversations and the more people you know. And it's the and two friends and two more friends. And you can grow that by their friends too, and them referring you.
I love it. So what's more important, Kimberly? The size of your database or the quality of your database?
The quality. So being in business as long as I have been, as we all do, don't ever think that anybody out there has this perfect data bank. We all do. We all forget to put in a lot of the information. But what I can say is really find a way to make that a habit, to get all their information as much as you possibly can. Phone numbers, email addresses, home phone numbers, if they have home phone numbers, that just dated me, their address, kids' names, anything you can about them, because as you're calling to check in, and I used to be old school, I had it literally on 3x5 cards, which I still have. They're kind of in one of my drawers behind me. And sometimes I will actually go back to those because I would put chicken scratch notes. And when I call people and I'm able to look at that note and say something about the soccer game they were at 2 years ago, whatever, they're shocked that I can remember that. And that makes a lasting impression on somebody, to have that kind of information and to remember them. It doesn't matter that I read it off of one of my cards or I read it in my notes in command. They don't know that.
I love that. So Kimberly, I'm gonna push you a little bit on this one. And I know you love it when I push you. How big is your database?
Mine is about 3,600.
3,600. Okay, you guys, I want to take just a pause for a second, because what Kimberly just said is quality is the most important. However, notice the size of her database, right? There's another phrase I want you guys to take out of this, is that there is quality in quantity. So it is better to have a database that is going to be large enough to support your goals than have 5 people that are perfectly filled out, right? That you have full information. You have to, so we're going to talk a little bit about what is your size and what should that look like. But I don't want anybody walking away from that comment going, fantastic, the 7 people I have I have full information on, right? We're going to talk a little bit more. Okay, so Kimberly, I want you to go a little deeper into this. Who should be in our database or our data bank? And I want you to put on that hat of, I am a launching agent or a growth agent, right? Mm-hmm. Who should be in the data bank?
So anybody and everybody. I talk to so many people that say, I don't know anybody. Yes, you do. Friends, family, even if they're people that are not in your town, there's referrals. You just want to become the resource. So I have friends, family, aunts, uncles, gardeners, my accountant, my hairdresser. Maybe if there's a restaurant that you go to all the time, your doctors. I have done so many homes for my doctors because I make sure they're in my database. They want you in theirs. They should be in yours. My dentist now lives across the street from me. If you don't know where your database is or who you can put in there, pick up your phone. How many people do you have in your phone? I think I've got like 2,300 in my phone. So obviously I've talked to 2,300. Go to your Facebook page. How many people are on your Facebook page? Go to your Instagram page. One of the other things that I did was I kind of targeted about 10 or 12 people that I knew when I was really trying to up my database. And so I would call them up and I would just have a talk with them and say, you know, who do you know that I should know? And so, and it was amazing because what happened as soon as I asked that question, they would go into who this person was, and then they would offer to do an invite. And then it gave me an opportunity to sit down with that person. And you can you can really set the level of what you want your business to look by just doing that one thing.
I
Did I
love
cover
that.
enough? I need to go
Yeah,
deeper.
you did. And we're going to go into some tactics around that here shortly, because after this, we're going to do the 7 best practices of building your database. So Kimberly, we're going to dive a little deeper. Linda, I'm going to just address your question in the chat very quickly, right? So what do you do with the quality of your data bank isn't ideal because a large portion of your SOI is communicated. They already have a loyal realtor. I'm going to remind you that 87% of realtors do not make it to their first anniversary of real estate, right? And we live in an industry of 30% attrition a year. Just because they have a realtor today does not mean that that realtor will be in business tomorrow. So keep communicating with them. In addition to that, you guys, here's the secret. Everybody you know knows at least 5 to 7 realtors. Everybody you know knows at least 5 to 7. Now, they probably can only remember 3 of them. And you better be one of those 3 when the time comes for them to make the call. Because remember, sometimes even when they're making a referral, it's not going to go to the realtor that they use personally. Maybe you have a unique value proposition. Maybe you have a unique skill. Maybe it's just your personality that might be a better fit for them at that moment in their life, or the referral that they're going to make. Kimberly, can you add on to that at all?
Yeah, I'm going to give you some real hard statistics here that are personal. So I own property and I've owned property in multiple different states. I'm one of the geeks that loves to travel and go look at real estate. When I'm out traveling looking at real estate, I go into open houses. If that agent asks for my contact information, I am giving that agent 100% of my information. And I'm usually giving very specific on, like, I'm looking to buy. I've looked in Palm Springs, Arizona. So I give them everything. And I've been doing this for 20 years, you guys. And in that 20 years, I've bought property I've owned 6 houses in Austin, Texas. I've owned 3 in Arizona. I've looked in Palm Springs. There has been one agent that has been consistent to continue to follow up with me. And that agent is Andrew Bloom. So if you guys don't know Andrew, he was, when I first met him, he was at Remax in Arizona. I walked into one of his open houses. It was probably 16 years ago. To this day, I still get probably once a quarter a marketing piece mailed to me from him. Nobody else. And I bet I've given my number and email address to at least 200 to 300 agents over the last 20 years. So when you guys say somebody knows another agent, yeah, but who do they remember? I remember Andrew because he sends me stuff. He Facebook friends me. He comments on my posts. Does he remember me? No. But I remember him because of the constant contact with me.
I love that, Kimberly. We call that inspecting what you expect. Isn't it fascinating when we flip the conversation and we become the consumer and we realize just what's happening in the world? You've shared your information with 200-300 agents over the course of your career, and only one has consistently communicated with you. Yeah. Maybe that's another great takeaway, you guys, is I want you to which is going to get into the next piece, is if you are not systematically communicating with them, you are losing opportunity, right? Because somebody else is just merely communicating without communicating you.
And
Okay,
I
so next,
guaranteed,
oh,
hang
yeah.
on, sorry, and guaranteed you guys, these being in the industry, these are not personal things that he's like writing to me. These are very generic stuff that we have at our fingertips. He is not like thinking about what am I going to say to Kimberly? That's not it. I mean, there's stats, there's nothing that he's having to think about. It is all automated that he's sending me.
I love it. Okay, so Kimberly, tell me why it's so important to be strategic and systematic about growing the database, right? Like not just accepting that it's this size. Why is it important for us to focus on continuing to grow it?
Because people are going to, as you want to grow your business, you've got to grow that database or you're going to stay very stagnant. And your database, people will find new acquaintances, that another agent's going to be constantly in their ear. You may have slacked off with them. And if you're not constantly feeding that database, it will actually shrink just by the fact of things are going to fall through the cracks. Somebody else is going to marry a realtor, or their brother's going to become a realtor, or their mom, or somebody. So you've got to make sure that it's constantly getting bigger, or it is truly getting smaller.
Right. If it's not growing, it's dying, right?
Mhm.
There is just natural attrition that will happen in your database. And you hit it on the head. We don't know when somebody's spouse is going to become a realtor or a friend, or somebody passes or moves out of the state, right? All of those things, there's natural attrition in a database. Okay. So Kimberly, once again, I'm going to have you take a step back in time. And I want you to give us, as you were launching, what would be the very best advice you would give to somebody who does not yet have their database in place? And off of that, can you share maybe a big lesson or a mistake you made?
Gosh, so many. So the first thing would be just start putting them in. Sometimes I used to keep, back, and I'm still very much a paper person because I think the more you write, the more you retain. I'll sit down and just start writing names and then put those names into your database. Don't think they have to be perfect. As long as you've got a name and a phone number, now you can call them. You have some reason to call them. Hey, guess what? I'm now in real estate. I wanted to share with you that. Or if you have an email, now you can email them and then email them to, hey, I'd love to get together and chat with you. I've got some exciting stuff. Can you give me a call or text me or whatever? And then you can continuously add that information to your database. It's more about getting them in there so then you can build on that database. And then the next one about the biggest lesson. And it kind of goes along with database, but it's like, don't be a silent agent. Don't be a silent agent. Make sure people know that you're an agent. Be happy and be excited to tell them. And with that, and I made this mistake once that I know of very early on in my career about explaining to people how we get paid. I'll never forget, I had this great young couple. They were so excited to use me. We were out. I went out of town. I got this very excited call from them. They went into an open house and they bought it. They were so happy to tell me. And it didn't dawn on them the fact that I didn't get paid now. And, they were so excited to refer me to all their friends and family that I, at some point had to, that'd be great. Please let me know ahead of time. And so never again did I ever make that mistake. I let them know this is how I get paid. And until we find that house, I'm working for free. Now, obviously I don't say it quite like that, but you need to let them know that.
I love that. Okay, you guys, get out your pens. We are going to do the 7 best practices and focusing on a data bank driven business. Before you do that, Kimberly, I love that story, and I'm going to tell a little story that I teach to help you guys understand, and hopefully this will hit home for you guys. When you go, well, back in the day when we shopped at department stores, and we didn't order everything online, right? You walk into your favorite store, right? and the sales associate walks up to you, and what do you say?
Can I help you?
Right? They say, can I help you? And you reply with,
I'm just looking.
I'm just looking, right? And you proceed to look around until you find the perfect outfit. And in that moment, when you find the perfect outfit and you're ready to try it on, what do?
Ask for a room.
Look for.
That's right. And who do you ask for the room? The closest, easiest person to get you in and open the door to try the outfit on, correct?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So here's the conversation, guys. You just admitted as a consumer, you do exactly what your clients do. Because guess what, guys? When they're looking online and when they're driving by neighborhoods and you're reaching out to them and saying, hey, I'm a realtor, guess what? They're saying, I don't need you. I'm just looking. Until the moment they are ready to try the outfit on, open the door to look at a house, and they're going to look around and they're going to call the agent that is the closest, easiest person to find, because that is consumer mentality and you yourself do it. You never once ever thought, hey, does this salesperson work on commission? Have they been looking at my style and already have 3 amazing other outfits that might be better in the back or coming next week, right? They have already put all that thought, just like you put thought into the client. So I want you guys to take another look at your database, put your ego on the shelf, and understand that the key to the data bank is when they are ready to try the outfit on or buy the house, you better be the closest, easiest person to find. And the only way that happens is through consistent communication and a relationship with your data bank. And how does it feel that you are a participant in this consumer mentality? You might think a little differently now when you're out in the world. All right, you guys, 7 tactics. Ready? Are you ready to go, Kimberly? You guys, if you have questions, you drop them into the chat box and don't be afraid to ask questions. Number 1, you guys, decide on your lead generation lever. Let's be honest. Some of you might leave this call today and say, you know what? I actually don't prefer a database-driven business. And guess what, guys? That is okay. You need to have 3 lead generation levers to make a stable business, right? Many of you will choose database or data bank or sphere of influence. Why? Because they already know you, recognize you, and will already consider you for the job of selling, buying, or investing in real estate. Other pro tip, you guys, it is truly the fastest, easiest way to get leads with the least amount of time, energy, or monetary investment. Another pro tip, it's 7 times easier to keep a client that you already have than to go find another that you don't yet know. So, number 1, if you've made the mental decision that database and sphere is where you want to be your lead generation, you're not going to focus on for sale by owners, cold calling, farming, etc. Then we move to number 2. We need to set our goal number. Now, anybody want to throw out how we identify what the goal number of people that we need to have in our data bank is?
Based upon the number of homes you want to sell.
I love it. Sarah, based upon the number of homes, we should be able to extrapolate the minimum number of people that we need to have in our data bank that we are consistently communicating with. Does anybody know the magic number?
2 to 12.
Yes. Based on the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, you will convert with your data bank if properly communicated to at a 12-to-2 ratio. Meaning for every 12 people in your database, you can expect there will be 2 transaction sides that will happen in a calendar year. Kimberly, Why is it 2 to 12 and not 6 to 1? We'll put you on the spot.
Yeah.
How well do you know the MREA?
Yikes. I don't know the answer to that one. Yikes.
I love it. You guys see, we are all learning every day. Does anybody know the answer? Why is it 12 to 2 and not 6 to 1?
Is it because one may actually be a piece of business and the other will be a referral?
Yeah! Oh my God. Bonus points, gold star.
Yes.
That is absolutely correct. 1 in 12 people in your database will sell, buy, or invest this year, right? The other transaction is going to come from a referral from one of those 12. So somebody who's not yet in your database, but they are introduced to your database. And guess what? It's also how your database grows. Yay, double bonus. 6 to 1 ratio does not work because it does not give us enough numbers to count for that referral outside. So how do we extrapolate that, you guys? First of all, remember the asterisks. We will convert at 12 to 2 if you have a database, you have their contact information, and you are properly communicating with them. So for those of you guys in launch mode, you probably aren't yet to a 12 to 2 ratio. Is that fair to say? Like new baby database, you just haven't made that mental, like you are not top of mind yet. So a great thing to think about as you launch a career or you're just starting that is your best case going to be converting at a 12 to 1 ratio, okay? So very important.
Revitalizing it too, don't you think? If you're revitalizing, you haven't been good about it, you need to re-engage with your database.
Yes, and great question from Sandy in the chat. The 2 to 1 properly communicated with. Leslie, will you define properly communicated with?
Absolutely. That means you are touching them a minimum of 36 times a year.
That was the mic drop.
Minimum of 36. Yep. If you are not doing that, you should not expect a 12 to 2 ratio. Now, that might be okay in your business. However, remember, more touches in the database means that you are going to have a higher rate of return. I want you guys to think about it a little differently too, okay? For in your database at a 12 to 2 ratio, right? So you have 144 people in your database. That means at a 12 to 2 ratio, we're closing how many transactions? Anybody want to guess? 24, right? So if you have a database of 144 people, 24 transactions are going to happen. Awesome, right? For many of you, that hits your goal, yes? Okay, now I want you to think about whether you are properly communicating with them. Show of hands, how many people have 144 database and are properly communicating with them with a minimum of 36 touches? Show of hands. No, you're in a safe place. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a really hard question. There's 24 transaction sides. I want you to think about your database and tell me which one of those 24 people you're going to leave subject to an agent who doesn't care about them as much as you do. Which one of them are you going to leave vulnerable to an agent out there that's not going to protect their interest? Merely because you just didn't reach out. Did that hurt a little? Which one of your friends, families, past coworkers, loved ones, neighbors, are you going to just say, sorry, I didn't do my job, so you're not going to have an exceptional home sell or buy process? Now, does that ring home why we communicate, guys? All right, I'm going to move on while you guys ponder that. All right. That number 3, gather your METs. Kimberly, you hit on this, right? Guys, I want you to dig deep. Where do we find the database? It is everybody you know. I cannot tell you how often we launch real estate careers and I say, how many people do you know? And they're like, like 27, right? I cannot tell, and for those of you who have said that to me, I apologize. I will keep our conversation confidential. But the truth is, guys, how many people, Kimberly said it, how many people do you have in your social media feeds? How many people do you have saved in your cell phone? How many people are in your family, whether they're local or anywhere in the world? How many of you worked in professions before you became realtors? How many of you graduated from college and have an alumni class? Right? How many of you pay other service providers, like Kimberly said, your dry cleaner, your hairdresser, your handyman, your painter, your pest control guy, right? Anybody you pay money to, they need to be in that database. This is a trick I like to play, is if you are having trouble thinking about it, I want you to think of it this way. Today, I am going to gift you something. This is hypothetical. But what I'm going to gift you is the concert of your life, your dream concert with any artist you want. And you have an unlimited amount of tickets that you get to give away for free. Only one time, one shot. You want to give them to every single person that you know because you don't want them to miss this. How many people do you give a ticket to? How many people do you have the ability to influence to let them know that you have tickets on the table? Do you have a way to reach these people? And that's how many people you should have in your database. How big is your concert of a lifetime? Oh yeah, and you have an unlimited ability to fly them here to watch the concert. They don't even have to be local. Okay, that's how big it needs to be. Now, once we build it, we need to organize it, right? We need to make sure that we have the information, as much information as we possibly can. This is where Kimberly talked quality, right? If we don't have the ability to communicate with it, then we're going to be limited. When we're limited, we may not receive that 12-to-2 ratio. Now, this is where we don't want to get stuck in analysis paralysis, you guys. A couple of things. Secret, you're a realtor, you can find people. You own a house, we know where you live. Right? It's very easy if you have a name to check a tax database and find their mailing address, right? Pro tip, you got people in your database that own homes that you don't have their addresses? Fascinating. Use the innate tools of being a realtor. The other thing, you guys, is I don't understand when people say, I can't find an email. How many professionals do you have in your database right now that have a professional website that lists their email address? Phone number, right? Etc. Get creative, dig deep. And if you don't have everything, then we'll put them on a systematic way to get it over time. And you're just going to continue to flush it out. Remember the 36 Touch campaign, which we are going to go dive deep into what pieces will go into your 36 Touch campaign on the Mastermind next Thursday, FYI. Today is going to be mostly tactical. Next week is going to be, we're talking about best practices of what you actually have in your 36 Touch campaign, right? We'll cover multiple mediums. And the reason it covers multiple mediums is because you will never have a database where you have a social media tag, an email address, a phone number, and an address for every single person in your database. Kimberly, of your, how many did you say, 3,600?
Mm-hmm.
What percentage have 100% of their information filled out?
There are 3. I think. And the reason I know that is because Command will give you the health score. And I only have 3 people that have 100% health score, which was very difficult to get 100%. But I've got
okay,
80.
You just made.
But
What was that? I sorry, I
I
didn't mean
said
to cut you off.
the majority of them are at about 88%.
I love that. Thank you so much for being transparent, you guys. You are hearing from a mega agent with a robust database who literally just admitted that only 3 people of her 3,600 have a 100% database health score. The reason this is important, you guys, is because just because it's not perfect doesn't mean that you are not moving forward. Don't let that stop you. In my mom's words, I love sharing this and she's always embarrassed. She always said to me, honey, something works and nothing never does, right? Even if you have partial information, you move forward and you can continue to perfect it over time. She loves it when I tell mama stories. For those of you who don't know, my mom is, I know, she's also my real estate business partner. So she super loves it when I talk to large amounts of realtors about all the life lessons. Okay, organize them, you guys. Once we have the information, we need to have tags, right? We need to be able to have notes in there. Kimberly said, right? Like, hey, as you communicate with it over time and you learn more about them, put their children's names in there, their birthdays, their anniversaries, right? Like, make it easy on yourself. Kimberly, like, gosh, like 3,600 people, you could not possibly keep track of all those people.
No. I can remember a house that I sold 9 times out of 10. I can't remember their faces. So let alone everything about them.
Right. And if you have realtor brain, you can even remember that it had horrible green carpet the day that you sold it to them, but you won't remember like their anniversary, right? There's so many things that we don't. That's called realtor brain. I remember it. That was the house with the wallpaper. Anybody else have that? Is it just me?
Nope, it's me.
Totally normal. Okay, so number 6, systematically communicate with them. A database is merely a database if it's a list of names. A database becomes a data bank when you actually communicate and are in relationship with it. It's very important to note. A database of names is just a list of names. Right?
And I'm going to help you guys out with that. So my very first bold had my database. I'd been in the business for, at that point, probably 11 years, I think. And we had to, and I never cold called, I never touched my database. And I was still doing about 90% referrals. And we had to call. And so, of course, who am I going to call? I'm going to call family and friends. Now, mind you, 11 years in the business, I had never received a referral from my sister or my nieces. That year when I called them, both my sister and my niece gave me referrals. I never asked them for it. And here they're like, you can't get any closer than my sister and my nieces, who, by the way, my sister I talk to probably every day or every other day. And it wasn't until I asked her for the referral that she gave it to me. She always thought I was too busy. She didn't realize I needed help with my business. So if that's my sister and my nieces, what do you think your friends or people that you meet are thinking? They're not thinking that you need the business. They figure it just flocks to you.
Question.
Especially if every time they talk to you, you say, I'm so busy. I'm so crazy. I'm running around like my hair's on fire, right?
Yep.
I don't have time for you, right? If that's the message that you are giving your database when you're talking to them, that you're exhausted, that you're worn out, that you're way too busy to spend time with them or your family, then they're going to think you don't need my business.
They don't want to bother you.
You're too busy. Yeah, you're too busy to take care of me or my friend or my coworker.
Mm-hmm.
Mindset. Kimberly, thank you.
Questions in the chat?
Questions.
I'll have you go through number 1 through 6 really fast, because I think some of us are writing down numbers and we may have missed 4 and 5. And then we have another question if we have time at the end.
Okay, perfect. Number 1, decide on your lead gen lever. Number 2, determine your goal number. Number 3, gather your METs. Oh, hold on.
4.
What's my 4?
dig for information.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm literally using every tool I have to pull this off today, you guys.
Okay, I'll
Number
go to
five.
5. Oh, got it.
Number 5, organize them. And then 6, systematically communicate with them. And I will say systematically use your tools. What can you leverage for automation? Who do you have in your tool belt, right? Like, can you leverage what title gives you? What Keller Williams gives you? Can your lender help support you, right? Like, you do not need to be the creator of everything. There are so many resources out there. Learn how to access those resources and keep you at the forefront of representing your clients, right? This is where I want you guys to think that consistency outweighs creativity 100% of the time. Something works and nothing never does, right? It is better to have a templated letter that goes out on a consistent basis than to have a creative letter that goes out infrequently. Okay, number 7. This is an easy one, then we're going to open it up. Grow it every day. We already know that we went deep on this before, is you are going to have attrition in your database. You need to have a systematic goal of how many people that you're going to put into your database every day, every week, every month. And that goal, that number should be either be number 1, based on hitting your goal number. For example, I need 250 people in my database to hit my goal. I need to hit my database goal in 30 days. Now you know how many people per day you need to add to your database, right? Or it's a future goal. I'm going to close 12 homes this year, but next year I'm going to close 36. You better start now building the database that supports the 36 transactions, not the 12. Plus what you expect in attrition. Grow it every day, systematically and strategically. All right, that's 9:45, you guys. I know that I wasted the first couple minutes of this mastermind. I'm willing to stay. I got heated seats. I got Wi-Fi, so I'm willing to stay and open it up for questions if you guys want them. And if anybody has to drop off, I completely understand. We are recording this so that we can go back and watch it later. But let's open it up. Any questions?
And I'll stay as well.
Questions in the chat. One would be going back to number 1. Could you do a quick list of other lead gen levers besides the data bank? And the next question is, how do you ask for the referral and still relay that things are good?
Those are some great ones.
Okay, so number 1, decide on your lead gen lever. I'm going to just go through them very quickly because that is actually a mastermind. Why don't we put that on the mastermind for April, guys? Let's talk about lead gen levers. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
And we can go deep on a whole bunch of the most common lead gen levers and their percentage, their standard conversion rates. So you guys can make that sound. Does that, everybody thumbs up on that? Awesome. For the purposes of today, Sphere, database, networking, you can
open houses.
Power part. Yes, open houses. Open houses is one of the best, right? Open houses, for sale by owners, farming, right? And farming is multiple levels: geographic, psychographic, demographic, right? There's multiple ways to farm. Those
Home buying seminars.
Home buying seminars, social media, right? Online leads, we don't recommend it. We'll talk about that next week, right? Unless it is targeted online leads. We'll go deep into that because that's like a bunny trail that we'll go down together. Okay, those were just a few. Next question, Sarah, remind me. How do we ask?
Yep, how do you ask for the referral and still relay that things are good?
Ooh, Kimberly, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I would love that. So I'll go back to my nieces when I was at Bold. And it was just super easy. Hey, look, it was Alicia. Hey, Alicia, I have a goal this year that I really want to help X amount of families. Let's say it's 10 families this year, either buy or sell. Do you know of anybody that's, friends, family, well, not family, friends in church that you could recommend that I reach out to see if they're thinking about buying or selling. And it was literally that easy and I did this, I called 10 people one day. And if I didn't get a hold of them, I left them that voicemail or I left them a voicemail. Hey, I'm calling because I need some help. 9 out of 10 people called me back because they wanted to help me. And the referrals at that point were unbelievable. So it's super easy. I need help.
Kimberly, thank you so much, you guys. If you are ever on a class or a mastermind with me, I spend a lot of time talking about the psychology of sales, the psychology of communication, the psychology of leadership. Here's the thing, you guys, humans like to help. Use the word help frequently, right? Like it is a chemical trigger within themselves. It opens up their mind to a search pattern instead of a no, right? So Kimberly, you use that, I love that, is a great positive way. When people ask you how's real estate, you go, it's fantastic. I'm helping so many families. Hey, by the way, I'm looking for more people to help this year. Who do you know, right? Or like Kimberly said is, hey, can you help me? I've set a big goal to help 24 families accomplish the American dream this year. Who do you know that I can help today accomplish that, right? That is a search pattern word. Use the word help a lot. And that also gave you some great positive ways to deflect when you come in like ragged from writing 56 offers and getting, 57 of them rejected. And you just want to buyer's agents out there, I can see you cringing, right? Like when you're ready to pull your hair out, you never show them that. How's real estate? It's fantastic. I'm looking for more people to help.
The other one.
What other questions do we have? Oh, go ahead.
When you're in transactions, and we won't go too deep into this, but there's the Promise program. It's on KW. Where can we find that one? Somebody can put that in the chat.
I'm putting it in Mike Hicks, the Promise script.
And that you should be able to get 2 referrals from every deal you do if you truly follow his program on this. It's amazing. People will just be throwing referrals, and basically it's about your service and telling them that you're going to deliver the best service to them, and in return you'd like referrals. And at the end of the transaction, if I haven't received 2 referrals from you, it means I didn't do my job. Is it okay at the closing table if I ask what I could have done better? Super easy.
Question.
I love it. Yes, you can find that on Connect.
Do you think asking for help on social media is just as effective as asking over the phone from the chat?
I'm gonna field this one, Kimberly. If you're asking if it's efficient, I would say yes. If you're asking if it's effective, I will say no, right? Remember, there is a difference between efficiency and effectiveness, right? Putting something out like that on social media is marketing, right? It is sending it out in the masses with hopes that somebody will reciprocate. Prospecting is taking it to a relationship and one-on-one. You will have more results on a higher rate of return on a one-on-one basis, but marketing would allow you to touch more people in a short amount of time. Remember, the best results in real estate are prospecting based and marketing enhanced, right? I want you to think about that as we move into 36 Touch next week. We are prospecting based and marketing enhanced, because you guys, here is the deal. We have competitors out there that are doing a very, very good job of marketing to our people. A very good job of marketing to our people. And that means they are most likely communicating on a broad spectrum better than you are. And guess what? They got deeper pockets to do it. So if you don't make it about a relationship and about a connection, you are probably not going to win that war unless you already have a significant marketing platform and system setup. Hey, Peggy, do you agree? I see you. She's laughing. Peggy and I go way back. All right, what other questions do you guys have?
No questions in the chat.
I'll throw one more thing out there for building your data bank. For those of you that do open houses right now, there is no reason at all that you should not be getting 100% of the people that walk in your open house, all of their contact information, their name, their phone number, email address. From a safety standpoint, you should not let anybody in that door without giving you 100% of that information. So if you're doing it, it's an easy way to start building that data bank. People don't even question now. When they walk into my open house, you can't walk past the front door. Here's my slip. And they'll say, do I need all the information? Absolutely. With COVID restrictions, I need your name, phone number, email address. And they're like, okay.
Isn't it beautiful that they took that, like that was one of the biggest things we used to teach in open houses. Like, do I do a sign in? Do I not do a sign in? Guess what? Your world just got easier in the open house world.
And you should never do an open house without sign-in sheets, even regardless pre-COVID. Why are you doing an open house if you're not making people sign in? You're there to get contacts.
All right,
Kimberly,
you guys, 9.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
Digital, what's your thought on the digital business card? Rather than handing somebody a piece of paper that they might throw in the trash, in that moment, can I text you my business card? Or I don't have a card on me, let me text you my digital business card so you at least get their number. Do you use that very often?
I never want to give my business card out. I always want to get, and I don't give flyers out either. If they want a flyer, please put before COVID, please put your phone number down there. I actually have a brochure that I send out. I'll send it to you digitally. Never give flyers out. When I'm doing open houses, and I tell my clients, I don't give out that. I want the content. I can better serve you by having one-on-one conversations with people that are coming into the open houses.
Sarah, and it was a great question. And I'm going to take that one step farther. Once again, we're going to go back to the psychology of humans, right? People delete emails without reading them. They throw away mailings. They erase voicemails. The one thing that they very, very rarely do as humans is delete text messages. Ever. Which means if you are communicating with them over time, this is what we also call transference of guilt. They don't remember how many cards they threw away. They don't remember how many voicemails they erased, and they don't know how many emails they deleted. But the third time you text them, they can clearly see that they did not reach back out. And that is called transference of guilt in their face every time they see a text message come in. Oh,
Love it.
Who knew we were going to get the sales psychology this morning? Okay, you guys, it is 9:56. We went 11 minutes over. I apologize for the technology. Please use it as an example of how our fortitude in this changing industry and always making sure that we get the job done. I appreciate you all for joining us today. We will put on the agenda for next Thursday on the Mastery Models Mastermind. We are going to be going deep onto the 36 Touch campaign. And then we are also going to be adding April for the Momentum Mastermind, our lead generation sources. And we're going to go through conversion rates and talk about that. Sound good, you guys? Kimberly, any parting words?
No, just go out there, build your data bank, people.
All right, guys, have a powerful, yes, feed it every day.
Yes.
Have a powerful day, you guys.
Thank you.